and the Yod. Aleph is number 1, it's the first glyph, and the Yod is number 10. And I say this, and I want to constantly repeat it. In the Hebrew alphabet, alphabet is a code. It is a coded, it's a coded language, or it's a coded alphabet. So that each glyph character has within it multiple meanings. Like the Aleph numerical value is number 1, because in Hebrew you don't have an alphabet and a number system. The alphabet is the numbering system. That's kind of confusing. So in Hebrew it doesn't count 1 through 10 and then go 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. It doesn't count that way. It goes 1 through 10 and then it counts 10 through 90 in increments, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. So if you want to say 11, you would have to say Yod Aleph. You understand that? That's the only way you can get to 11. So it doesn't go from 10 to 20 like 10, 11. So everything in the 1 through 9 are called single, because there's only just one character. And they deal with what you would call the pattern, or what I would call the blueprint, the architectural blueprint. Now I want to ask the question right here, because something I'll say later, is a blueprint, that's the architect's idea, right, in paper, schematic or blueprint or pattern or drawing, whatever words you would like to use, it communicates. Is it real, more real than the actual building that's built from the blueprint, the pattern, or the drawing?
It's as real.
It's as real. But the building is real. In manifestation, you see, in some philosophies, the only thing that's real is the spirit. Everything else is Maya, illusion. So in other words, the material, the manifest world, is not real. And so some people would say, you're not real, that tree's not real, that sickness is not real, that problem is not real. It's all Maya, it's all illusion. Because it's in the material manifest world. The material manifest world is not real. And most people have a real problem with that. And I really don't blame them. I have a real problem with that. Because you are real. You are the manifestation of the energy, the essence that we term God. You're the image. And to say you're not real, to me, is foolish, ignorant. It's ignorant. To me, it's ignoring certain basic principles. If there is a pattern or a plan or a blueprint or a drawing, how can you say that's the only thing real? Because this 1 through 9, it represents spirit, or we could say spirituality. Spirit, S-P-I-R-I-T, or we could say spirituality. And everything 10 through 90, it represents material. Or you could say manifestation. The manifest world.
Could you also say duality?
And duality, exactly, because everything that's manifest, everything that exists based on a duality. It has a positive and negative. Everything. Even the smallest worm, bug, plant, it has that duality. So 10 through 90 represents duality. And then in Hebrew, you go from 10 through 90, you go from 100 through 900, which includes the last 5 glyphs. The original basic code in the Hebrew has only 22 characters, and then they add 5 called the finals to get 100 through 90. That represents everything that come from the pattern, brought into duality manifestation, and brought back into its higher dimensional reality. So it would be, the plan comes from God, it comes to manifestation, and comes back to God. You understand? So the circle is complete. That's how you could say the circle is complete. And so that's how these glyphs, that's how they work out. That's how they are set up. So they're set up on a scientific basis, not just to put vowel points in between these characters and say, now we have a word. See, like if we said H2O, that's taking elements and combining them, hydrogen and oxygen, and combining them, and what would you get when you combine those chemistry elements together? What would you get?
Water.
Water. Exactly. So if I took these characters and I combined them together, like if I took the Aleph and the Yod and I combined them together, then I'm creating a formula. That formula then became a word because they put vowel points in it. Do you follow that? So it's not as complicated, I guess, as we've made it. Religion has made it more complicated. Religion has really complicated everything to our thinking because it said that, well, it's illusion. This is an illusion. It's not real. And if you ever deal with something in your life, you mash your finger or you have a disappointment or a pain, it's real to you, isn't it? Mine aren't real to me. So whether I like them or don't like them, I own them or don't want to own them. But anyway, I talked about several weeks back when we got together, I was talking about rather than struggling through life, and most of us do, I said I am trying to take that word struggle and replace it in my language with the word game or dance. Instead of struggling with something, I'm trying to learn to dance with it. I'm trying to find the positive in what seems to be negative. Do you understand? I think somebody made a song years ago, Accentuate the Positive, and I forget, turn away from the negative, whatever. So for me, I'm saying that's for me. I'm trying to learn that life is really a game meant to be played. Life's not meant to be a struggle. I can't see that, and I can't find that life is meant to be a struggle, but yet most all of us struggle with things. Whatever it is we're struggling. Most of the time we're struggling with, if you set a goal for yourself, or if you're trying to attain a certain thing, usually you're trying to struggle to get there. That's generally how, but if we had a different approach, that's my thinking, if I have a different approach and I realize, wait, this is a game, and if I know how to play this game, and I play this game right, then most likely I can win. And that's my idea, is to win, so that we can experience the things that we really long to experience. And I think that's health, happiness, and strength. I think those are the things that everybody longs for. They long for those 3 major things.
And peace.
I'm sorry?
Peace.
Yes. Well, peace, I think, would come under happiness,
yeah,
or would come under health, either way. Because if you are healthy and happy, you're going to be at peace. I promise you that.
Yeah, that's right.
So, this dance, now I wrote some stuff. I just want you to listen to this. And if you have a Bible, if you want to turn your Bible, turn it to Romans chapter 8. We'll look at some things there. Start there anyway. It says, what we have been, or what we are taught in Christianity, is that there is a battle. Now, doesn't all Christians think that there's a battle going on right now? I mean, everyone I ever talked to, they think there's a battle going on right now. And I remember years ago, when I first started pastoring, 40 years ago or better, I was teaching that. I taught that there was a war going on between God and Satan, Lucifer, the devil, using those 3 terms interchangeably, right? I think most Christians still they feel that way. And in that battle, they call that battle a struggle. God is struggling with this energy called Satan, and Satan's struggling against this energy called God and his good forces. So we talk that this struggle is going on between God, the devil, Lucifer, whatever term, whatever name you would like to give it. And God's good angels and the devils, and here this word devil has this little attachment to it in the Greek in the New Testament. It's not in the Old Testament. You don't find it in the Old Testament. No, demons. And I always remember demons. What are demons? And I remember I used to teach that demons were just little critters. You know, just some little critter. And they were da-da-da-da-da. Like that Pac-Man on that door right there. You know, that gobbling everything up. And that's how these demons were like that. They were just little critters that just trying to gobble you up. Trying to get, you remember Flip Wilson? You had one good thing sitting over here on this shoulder, and one good thing, a bad thing sitting over here on this shoulder, right? And one of them, so that's how, and these are all fallacies. There is no truth at all in any of that concept and idea. There's none, period. And it's so amazing that we so hold on to that. We so believe in that kind of thinking. Anyway, these two, in other words, the powers, God and the devil, Lucifer, Satan, are in no sense hostile with each other. I know that's very contradictory. I realize that. I can tell you that up front, that when I say it, I know it is. They're not at war with each other. And I want to give you some just simple illustrations right now. Because right now we have, in this area, we have the winter struggling to hold on and the summer struggling to push itself in. And because of that cold and hot, what does it create? Tornadoes, thunderstorms. And can those be damaging and devastating? Absolutely they can. But are they a vital part of this climate area? They are a vital part. They have their part and they play in the creative forces and energies and plans. Now, it seems to be very odd because of the devastation they can do. But you mix cold and hot, you're going to get that. And so, these two powers or forces or whatever, they are not hostile to each other, even though they appear to be. They are well adapted to each other to promote the progress of the whole. In other words, their work is toward the building. It's just like, why do you have viruses and bacteria in your body? Did God make a mistake when He created you? And the answer would have to be no, God didn't make a mistake. But yet we have filled in a little paragraph behind that. And I want to discuss that paragraph with you a little bit. So they are to promote the progress of the whole. In other words, the dance or the game, which we call it struggle of opposites, is to effect a happy balance in the manifestation of all grades of life. In other words, the reason you do have the bacteria and the viruses is to make you stronger. It's just like we see a little chick trying to peck its way out of that shell, and we want to crack the shell and help it get out. And if we crack the shell and help it get out, make it easy, it can't live. So in essence, it's just exactly like the chick cracking the egg, and we call it struggling. He's playing the game of life to strengthen himself. And it's in him strengthening himself that he gets stronger so that he can become more. And he can't be if he doesn't do that. You know what I'm saying? If he doesn't go through that process, then he'll not live. I mean, that's just the way it is. And you can think about this. Every one of us coming through the birth canal, it was a struggle. We think it was a struggle, but really it was a game or a dance for life. Because what happens in you and me pushing through that birth canal, it gives us strength. It strengthens our body. Do you know that all SID babies are C-section babies? No SID baby, no baby dies just laying in the crib that struggles through the birth canal, that pushes its way through the birth canal. Did y'all know that? That's just a medical fact. All babies that SID babies, they just call them crib death babies that die in the crib, were all C-section babies. That's a fact. Now, I realize that there are the C-section babies that are born, and I know what I'm saying. Oh, God, somebody hears it on the table. Oh, look, it gets the sick. No, I know that some women are going to die if they don't have a C-section and get that baby out. And so that's a good thing. But now that they learn more and more that the C-section babies were dying, they are now able more and more to help strengthen that baby and to help that baby live so that it doesn't die, just crib death baby. So there is in all opposition a greater force working if you and I can see the greater force that's working for my greater good. It's hard for me to say these things because they're so contradictory, and I know that they are. In other words, you're saying, Brother Lynn, evil's working for me? Absolutely. Evil's working for you as much as good is working for you. And I know it's controversial. And goodness, Scripture's full of this stuff. But if you will, open with me Romans chapter 8. I want to read some Scripture that may be familiar to you. It may not. That's fine. Let's just look at it. If you have a Bible, if you want to look with me. Romans chapter 8, verse 17. Now, Romans chapter 8, verse 17, it says, "And if children, then heirs, heirs of God, and joint heirs with Christ, if so be that you suffer." And a lot of stuff about suffering, right? Now, that word suffer in the Greek is sympeshko. And it means to experience pain jointly. Now, where does that concept and that idea of experiencing pain jointly? So I want you, because we're going to dig into a lot of stuff right here in Romans 8. So just hold your finger right there, and I want you to go with me to Genesis chapter 4. And I want to read you some things, some stuff that I wrote here several months back or so. But go with me to Genesis chapter 4, because we have a. Do you need a Bible?
I got one.
Okay.
If I can see it.
Okay. We have a core belief and idea that is so false and so wrong, but yet it is so deep in us, it's hard to pull it out. And if anybody says anything about it, we automatically go on the defense. Okay, and so I want you to listen to this. The concept or the idea of original sin. How many of you have that core belief, original sin? Everybody does. Do you realize even Buddhists and Hindus believe that concept and idea? Original sin. Now, where does the idea of original sin come from? And what does the idea of original sin have to do? Where does the root of it, where does it come from? The idea that all have sinned and come short of the glory of God, that's Romans chapter 3. Everybody believes, everybody holds on to that, but they don't understand what that means. And the problem is with the word sin. Because what you and I have defined sin to be is not what Scripture defines sin to be. Now, for all have suffered, and so immediately, what are you going to associate the word suffer with? Pain? Pain would be correct. But it's not just pain from sickness and disease. It's actually pain from offense. And all of us have pain from offense. And what is an offense? Well, an offense, I want you to just, this is just so contrary to everything you're taught. And I know that. But an offense is a violation or the breaking of a moral code or rule. How many of you have ever had that violation happen to you? And the truth of the matter is, every one of us. And the sad thing is, most every one of us had that violation event happening to us when we were a baby. When we were just a child, when we were just a year or 2 or 3 years old, and we had it happen to us by the people that loved us the most. And they didn't mean to. They didn't even know what they were doing. But nevertheless, And that's the true meaning for the word sin. It's a pain that comes from the results of an offense. And an offense is a moral violation that's happened to every one of us. Boy, girl, it doesn't matter. And that happened by the caregivers or the people around us that love us the most. And they didn't mean to, and they did not know what they were doing when they did. And then we grew up with that, and we incubated that pain, moral offense. And if anybody touched us in those areas, and when I mean touch us, I don't mean physically touch you. I mean when they would say something, immediately that pain would rise up out of my heart, out of my intellect, out of my inner being where I have guarded it. If anybody touched it, then I'm going to defend it. I'm going to try to take care of it. And so every one of us have this idea of original sin. And so out of that idea of original sin, that's where we have this belief that's rooted so deep inside our being that nobody can hardly get to it and touch it. And I want to show you an idea that you don't have, that you should have, that Scripture does promote. Scripture gives it to us very clear, but we have a hard time seeing it. How many of you ever heard this phrase, original goodness? I bet you ain't never heard that phrase, have you? I know that. Because I come up with that. Because I'll show you, I can show you at least 7 times where God said, this is good, 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 this is very good, but I cannot show you one place, one time when God said, this is original sin, but I can show you original goodness. But you don't have that belief. You don't even have that concept and that idea inside you that you are originally good. You have the concept and the idea that you are originally sinful. And you started out that way. You started out with this concept and this idea. You didn't realize that the original goodness God created you was a goodness that created you in a game called life. And in this game called life, God set rules and methods of how this game of life is to be played, but nobody ever taught you the rules to play the game. I've never had anybody teach me the rules to play the game. I've never had anybody to lead me in the steps of the dance. And that's exactly what life is. Life is a game and life is a dance. And it's meant to be lived. And it's used that way. So I want to read this some more. It says, thus the human race has been taught and believed and accept the lie, which is a wrong belief, the false idea that he or she is by nature a sinner. I mean, that goes deep. You are taught that. That's very deep. And right here, Genesis chapter 4, I want you to look at something with me. And it says, verse 3, Genesis chapter 4, verse 3, it says, and in the process of time, in the process of time. Hold your finger right there and just flip to the first chapter of Genesis. And look at verse 5. And I wonder, it says, and God called the light day. God changed the name of light to day. So light and day are the exact same word. Now I can read it to you this way. And God called the light time. Because you see that word day right there? And here in chapter 4, the process of time, you see that word time? That's exactly the same Hebrew word. There's not any difference in that Hebrew word. That's the Hebrew word yom. Now why did they do that? Why didn't they just go over here in verse 3 of chapter 4, and why didn't they just say in the process of a day? Why didn't they do it that way? Because that's the way they first used the word when they introduced the word right here in Genesis 1:5. And God called the light day. Because the word day and the word time in Hebrew are the word yom. Same identical word. It don't mean different in one place than another. The sad thing is, They've taken that word yom, and throughout the scriptures, here's what they've done with it. They called yom long life. They called yom happy life. They called yom mature life. They called yom extended life. They called yom full life. Those are ways that word is translated, as well as it's translated for the word day, as well as it's translated for the word time. Now, what is it? Actually, the word yom means the facets of life. How many of you realize you have many facets of your life? You have facets of your life that you would call good. And you have other facets of your life that you would call not good. Don't you? Oh yeah. And in those good and not good facets of your life, you know what you wind up doing? Struggling. But if you would surrender to the struggle, and you would realize something I'm not doing in the game, something I'm not doing correct in the game is causing me this. It's causing me to stumble. So if I dance correctly, then I won't be out of step on the dance floor. And the dance floor is not a race to get to a certain place, is it? Gary, you and Linda go dancing to these places. Have y'all ever got on the dance floor and says, okay, I'm going to get up here, and my whole reason for being up here is to get from here to over yonder. And when I can get over yonder, then I finish the dance. That's not how you dance. You're not trying to get anywhere, are you? What are you doing? You're dancing. You're enjoying the movement. You're enjoying the moment. That's all it's for. It's not a contest. A dance is not a contest to get anywhere. If we could learn that the facets of life are a dance, they're a game, they're meant to be played, they're meant to be enjoyed, they're not meant to be struggled through. But yet, we all do this thing struggle. So, I can say this, in the process of life, look at chapter 4, verse 3 again, using the word yom, and understanding that the word yom means facets of life. Facets of life, because you can have facets of your life that are happy. You can have facets of your life that are long. You can have facets of... See, these are different facets of your life. They're not right or wrong. They're not. They're good. They come under original goodness. See, we have the lie that's been sold to us, and we bought the lie, hook, line, and sinker, that original sin goes back to our forefathers and foremothers, i.e. Adam and Eve, and they screwed up, and when they screwed up, they screwed everybody. And we are the results of their screwing up. So now when you're born here, when you're pushed out of that womb, or if it's a C-section, there you lay, original sinner. And that plight you have to carry all the rest of your life. That is a lie. I mean, anybody should be smart enough to look at a baby and realize there's nothing sinful about it. I mean, if you can't see that it's just all good, if you can't see that it's all potentially God, that's just all it is. And it's that way. I mean, you know, I guess when you get maturer rather than older, when you get maturer, you see, I think most people see the value in life. And when you start having grandchildren, I'm talking from my own experience for me, when you start having grandchildren, you see even grander the beauty of life. And so the grandchildren can't do anything wrong. Mine couldn't.
True.
And the thing about that is grandchildren, even when they're 30 or 33, are still grandchildren. And you still have them still, they still ain't doing nothing wrong at that age. And I hadn't got to experience that with great-grandchildren, but they say that great-grandchildren are greater than the grandchildren. So that's a truth.
That's true.
That is a real truth. And, you know, if we could learn to embrace that and realize that. So original goodness never ever leaves you. Because you're born that way. And I don't even have to take you over to Genesis chapter 1 and show you these scriptures because you already know what I'm saying to be true. You show me any place in there where God says, uh-oh, we all made a mistake here. We might as well just do away with the whole deal. And that's the idea that we have been sold through the idea of original sin. Do away with all of them. Why? Because we need a Savior. We need a substitute. We need somebody to come in here and to fix the mess because somehow or another in God's plan, it just went awry. Wouldn't that make God kind of like a failure? Yes, it would. If God's plan went awry, if these glyphs, the original pattern, 1 through 9, if something was wrong with them, and then it carried out in the 10 through 90, the material, the manifest world, then there was something wrong with God's plan. Do we humans do crimes against humanity because we have a lower animal nature? Now I'm touching on things that I know that all of us have been taught and most all of us think. Most all of us think that we have an animal nature inside us along with the divine nature. And the truth of the matter is you have a human nature along with a divine nature. And your human nature is not animal. It's not an animal. It's not like an animal, even though the makeup of the physical body, the sarx, the flesh, is a similar makeup to that of an animal or a beast. We human do crimes against humanity because we have a lower animal nature hidden within us somewhere, or could there be another reason why we do the crimes we do? Could there be another reason? Okay. Have you ever heard the old Native American story about the two dogs within you? Whichever one you feed the most will be the one that you act upon. You ever heard that old story? You have a bad dog, a good dog. This old American Indian story did not mean that you have two animals or two dogs within you. It was referring to the idea that what you and I give our thoughts to the most. In other words, you give your thoughts to a good mind or you give your thoughts to an evil mind. Whichever one you give your thoughts to the most, that's what you'll act upon. That's what will give you the most. Give ourselves to the most, we'll try to dominate our life. Whichever one you give, if you give your thoughts to, and your thoughts are your thoughts, right? And nobody else thinks your thoughts. You think your thoughts. And whatever you think your thoughts on the most, then that's what you're going to give yourself to the most. Whatever it is. Not right or wrong. It's not good versus evil. It's not that at all. We're always taught this right or wrong. Well, let me ask you something. If you did something in somebody else's ideas that was wrong, but in your doing this thing that somebody else's idea said was wrong, you learned a valuable lesson. Then was that wrong you did valuable to you and help you get your act together? Then wasn't it serving you for your greater good?
Yes.
Yes, absolutely it was. Have you ever heard this story in Genesis 1:26? Let us make man as or in our image and after our likeness. Have you ever heard that? So what has God made man like? God's made man, i.e. woman, man and woman. God's made man and woman as the reflection of itself. Now does that sound like an animal to you? There's nothing animal about that. Now do we do animalistic things? We do things similar to animals. The reason we do it is because we are ignorant. Paul says, I wish y'all wasn't ignorant. He said it 5 different times in the New Testament. I wish y'all weren't ignorant, but you are. He's talking to all of us, me too. Then I wish you wasn't ignorant, but you are. God made man in or as his image, in or as his likeness. And what about the concept of the idea of the original goodness that God constantly talks about in Genesis chapter 1? And he says it, not just did he say it was good, he finally capped that off with saying it's very good. Why don't you hold on to that idea? Because originally that is who you are. That's originally who we are. How do all babies show up here in the earth realm, good or bad? Have you ever seen a 6-month-old, 8-month-old, 12-month-old evil baby? Have you ever seen one? They don't make them. Now they may make a baby who's born and for some reason he gets colic because he can't get the air out, and so he has tummy ache and he cries. And because his crying annoys you and gets on your nerves, then you think he's a mean, he's a bad baby. He's not. She's not. They're just experiencing pains. And many times out of our anger, we respond to that. We don't respond, we react. If we responded, response gives, you have to give thought to that. But a reaction is just knee-jerk. They did, bless God, I do back. I know y'all didn't do that, I did. I did a lot of things raising my children because I had no instructions. I didn't know what I was doing, and I didn't have anybody to show me what to do, period. You know, all I had was patterns. I've seen what my mom and daddy did, and you know what I did? I did the same thing mom and daddy did. Found out that mom and daddy did it because their mom and daddy did it. And found out that their mom and daddy did it because they found out that their mom and daddy did it. And the beat goes on. Hardly anybody ever stops to think, was that the right way to do it? No, most of the time. Most of the time, it brings original offense, pain, moral injustice. And we become the results of that. I hope you're getting this. God saw that everything that He made, and He said, behold, it's very good. How do all babies show up here on the earth realm, good or bad? Have you ever noticed a 6-month-old, 8-month-old, 12-month-old baby bad? No. No. What happens to every baby between the ages of 2, 3, 4, 10, 20, 30, 40 are the same babies born to be corrupt. When you take a baby that's born a year-old, 2-year-old, you ain't gonna find no bad, no evil, he don't have a thought of stealing, he ain't got a thought of murdering, he ain't got a thought of hurting, he ain't got no thought of doing anything. What happens to him when he gets to be 16, 20, and then these things begin to come along? Oh, well, the devil comes in. The devil starts to do that. Isn't that what we're taught?
No.
That's exactly what we're taught. I think the truth could be found in the proper use of the word sin. And again, the first places that we see sin in Scripture is right here in Genesis chapter 4. So if that's where you're at, I want you to look. This is the first place it's even found. And in Hebrew, there are two words for the one English word, sin. Two different words. One of them is chata'ah, and the other one is chatah. Those are the two different words. The word chatah is an archery term, and it just simply means you missed the mark, shoot again. Can you see anything evil about that? You missed the mark, shoot again. It's just exactly like if you were walking in the woods and you were on a trail, and for some reason the trail got kind of blurry and you couldn't really see clearly which way it went, this way or that way, and you got off this way and you got a ways down that trail, and you come to realize, why, you know, this is not the right trail. Does that make you bad or evil? Huh? You know what that word's called in Scripture? Trespass. You trespassed. What does that mean? You just got off the track. What do you do if you're hiking in the woods and you trespass, you got off the track? What do?
Get back on.
Well, unless you just want to wander in the woods the rest of the day, you get back on the track.
Right.
And you know what all the rest of people do? Get back on the track. Well, that word got translated for the word trespass. And of course, all they did was take the word trespass, trying to build their concept and the idea of original sin, and brought me and you into the lump of that and convinced us that's who we are. You're sinners. And so as a sinner, you know what you need? You need to get saved. All of these concepts and ideas have a deep, deep root in our thinking. And it's hard for us to deal with them. So right here is your first place. Verse 3, chapter 4, verse 3. And in the process of facets of life. I'm just going to change it to the original Hebrew. In the processes. That word process just simply means the events that happen to you as you grow living life. How many of you had events that happened to you that were like an offense in your living life? When you're your child, 2, 3, 4, 5. You ever had something happen to you? Yeah, you did. Everybody does. For that, all have sinned. In other words, for that, all have an offense. All carry this pain, this hurt, this moral. The moral rule or code was broken. Then come down to verse 7. If thou doest well, shalt thou not be accepted? And if thou doest not well, sin lies at the door. There's the first place. That word is chata'ath. That word chata'ath actually means offense. And again, the word offense means a violation or a breaking of a moral code. And see, it had nothing to do with rape, with murder, with stealing, with drunkenness, with whatever religion told you was sin. Has nothing to do with any of those things. Not anything to do with it. Because you are originally created good. You are not originally created a sinner. You are not a sinner. You've never been a sinner. And as not being a sinner, you don't need a Savior other than yourself. And if we could really understand that salvation, God, I just hope y'all can get this. I realize how contradictory this is. I mean, I know I would be definitely tired and feathered and shot and ostracized and everything else. People gets a hold of that and hear that out of context, out of what I'm trying to say. Because what I'm trying to say is God did not make a mistake with you, nor did your forefathers make a mistake that brought you down into this pit with the devil, with demons, with etc., etc. That didn't happen. So the word here, sin, is the Hebrew word chata'ath, and it just simply means offense, which is an original violation or breaking of the moral code, or a moral code. Okay, so I think that's all I wanted to read from that note. So go back over with me to Romans chapter 8. I hope I'm saying this in a balanced way, because it's difficult to try to say it, because I realize how deep our psyche how deep our psyche has accepted this lie and called this lie the truth. I mean, it really has a real deep root in our being, and to say anything contrary to that lie that we think is the truth is very difficult. So here again, Romans chapter 8, verse 17 says, and if children, then heirs, heirs of God, joint heirs with Christ, if so be that we suffer with Him. In other words, if we experience pain, and we're associating this with this concept or picture of a Jesus hanging on a cross and getting beat up and all that, so we associate it that way. We suffer with Him that we may also, if you notice the word Him, if you're looking at the King James, you notice the word Him? What is it?
It's italic.
It ain't even in the original text. It's not even talking about Jesus. Uh-oh. Just added. They just added there. I know, frustration. I know. Frustration of the additions, deletions, and the distortions in Scripture. I realize that. If you get past the being frustrated and look for the golden nuggets, if you can look for the silver, the jewels that's here, and that's all. Just focus on those. All the rest of that confusion, just get on past it and just realize man has tampered with this book tremendously. You know, it's just like, I'm going to say this, it's just like the word Lucifer. The word Lucifer is not Hebrew. It's found in the book of Isaiah. One time in the Bible, it's Latin. Latin was Roman. It was not Hebrew. And so when the translators, actually King James translated it, when they translated it, they took the word that was originally used there, that was referring to Venus or the morning star, the light bringer. That's what it was referring to, the morning star or the light bringer. And over in the New Testament, Jesus is called Lucifer or the morning star or the light bringer. So if you're going to take the one in the Old Testament in Isaiah, only one place, you're going to take it and you're going to refer it to the devil, to Satan, Lucifer. It's all the same thing. When the word actually means, it's a word in Latin that means Venus, the morning star, bringer of light. Then you have to be as consistent with it in the New Testament. So Jesus was Lucifer in the New Testament. I know that's... But he calls himself, I am the morning star. I'm the bright and the morning star in Revelations 20. Verse 18. For I reckon that the sufferings, now we just got through talking about suffer, which means to experience pain. Now he's talking about, for I reckon that the sufferings. This word is completely different from the word suffer. It's pathema. And actually, this word means an experience. So I can see it this way, for I reckon that your experiences of this present time. What are your experiences of this present time? Are your experiences a part of that in the process of time that breaks the moral code or the law that you are bound to live under? Yes, what they're doing to us right now with this coronavirus is a part of that. Every one of us are in the experience of that. And all they're doing is they're actually breaking a moral code and a law. And that moral code and law is against humanity. And my God, we have our government hook, line, and sinker doing this to us. So, for I reckon that the sufferings, pathema, which means experiences, are the influences. I hope you can hear that. They're not worthy to be compared to the glory which shall be revealed where?
In us.
In us. Not to us. Where's the glory revealed?
In us.
In you. Not to you. Hold your finger right here and go with me to Galatians chapter 1. Just flip over there a couple of books, just real quick. Galatians chapter 1. So where are these experiences revealed at?
In us.
Everybody say, in me.
In me.
Inside me. In me. In my inner man. In me. Look in Galatians chapter 1. Verse 16. Just this one verse. To reveal His Son. Notice that. To reveal His Son. Huios. That means child. It doesn't mean boy. It doesn't mean Jesus. That's what everybody thinks. That's the Greek word huios. The word huios in Greek means child. It can be a boy or a girl. To reveal His child. God's child. God's child is inside you. You call it your spirit man. Or your spirit woman. You should. It's made as the image of God. It's made in the image and the likeness of God. It's filled with all goodness. It's the one that you and I long to live from. So when we can live through that, through the process of living the facets of life, because the process of the facets of life offer you cold and hot. They offer you up and down. Listen to this. They offer you good and evil. And there's nothing wrong with either one. Because it tells you in Isaiah chapter 40 that God created the good and God created the evil. God did that. And it's not right versus wrong. It's you and me get caught in the process of living life. And you know what we do? Many times make the wrong choice. Or make a bad choice. Or make a choice that really won't serve me to its greatest potential. Have y'all ever done it? I have done it. God, you think, well, are you ever going to learn? I mean, am I ever going to learn? So look at verse 16. To reveal His child, that's the Greek word huios, in me. To reveal His child where?
In me.
In me. Can you get this, folks? Where's all this happening? In me. It's not happening to me. It's not happening because of me. It's happening in me. If I can get this, I mean, I love to go to church. I love to sing songs, and these songs emotionally move me. And I'm more and more cautious for me about the words of a song Even though I can get into a place where they have good music, beautiful harmony, and I can block the words out, and I can just love it, worship, just get in that worship, beautiful attitude. But if they get the words correct, then I can experience it far more. But I do know that most people go to church and have emotional experiences with those old songs. Not good, bad, right, or wrong. Many times just don't even really pay attention to what the words are saying. But we sure can get, because it ain't got nothing to do with what's going on in me. It's my emotions and my experiences, what I'm having. If God's revealing Himself in me, then He's bringing Himself through me and my experiences. So go back with me over to Romans chapter 8, and I'll try to kind of wind this down. I want to read something else that I wrote here. Romans chapter 8. And to reveal, which shall be revealed in us. Everybody say, in me.
In me.
Verse 19 says, for the earnest expectation of the creature waiteth for the manifestation of the sons of God. You see that word creature? That's the same word. It's used over here in Romans chapter 1. Creator. Creator. Who is the creator? Who is the creator?
We are.
We are our own creator. We create our life. But if you look at that, isn't God a creator? The word creator actually means the manufacturer. Or the word creator actually means the pattern or the plan. Now, look at this. Verse 20. For the creature, creator, same word in the Greek, from the root word, creator. Now look at this. For the creator was made subject. Wow. Now wait just a minute. Think through that with me. See, we've looked at this all together backwards. We think that for some reason, everything God created, we call that the creature. That's how the word's used. Everything God created, the creature, was made subject to the fall in the garden. Huh? That's exactly how you read that. That's exactly what you think. That's not at all what this is saying. It's saying the Creator made Himself subject. Do you not think that God made Himself subject to you when God chose to live inside you? If God chose to live inside you and God did not give you free will, then all you would do was just be a mechanic. You would just be a machine manipulated by something inside you. You wouldn't have a choice. Huh? You wouldn't have a choice to do this or to do that. You wouldn't have a choice to do good or evil. Why? Because you're just going to be manipulated by the Creator inside you. But the Creator made itself subject to you and me to allow us the choice to live the facets of life that we choose. Those facets of life aren't right or wrong, but those facets of life may not serve you to your greater good. Have you ever done that? I have. I've made some choices that, oh, buddy, here I go. I mean, it comes back, choice is yours. Choice is yours. I set before you this day, life and death, good and evil. Guess what? You choose. Does that make it wrong? So, oh, you chose wrong. Bless God, I'm going to burn you forever and ever and ever. You ain't never going to get done. I mean, that is dumb. We make these... and then we say, well, God gave us the choice of free will, and then God condemns us because we make a choice? Come on, what's just about a God like that? Where's there any justice in a God that will condemn you because you made a choice that you think is different from the choice that God would have made? God would have made the same choice you made because God surrendered Himself to you to allow you to make that choice. God, that's good preaching, brother. I must continually remind myself that. I must continue. I'm speaking to me. I wrote this to me back in January sometime. I must continually remind myself that, number one, I am happy. I am a happy person. I am letting go of the struggles. I'm letting go of the argue. I'm letting go of strife. I'm letting go of disagreements that come to me from anyone around me. Period. I'm letting go of any of that. Why? Because I choose happiness. I'm making a choice for me to be happy. Period. Number 2, I make a choice for me to be healthy. I'm paying attention to the foods that I crave and the foods that I consume. Now, I'm just paying attention to them. And I realize some of them I need to say, no, no, nay, nay, nay. But I ain't got there yet, so see, I'm enjoying my healthy living.
Yep.
But I'm choosing to be happy. I'm choosing to be healthy. So I'm trying to offset some of those good tasting foods with a lot of vitamins. I know that's wrong, but give me.
Not right or wrong.
And then I'm choosing to be strong. So I want to be happy, I want to be healthy, and I want to be strong. Strong not only in body, but strong in my mind. And I want to make this distinction because really what I'm trying to say this morning more than anything is your mind and your body are joined together as one unit. They're not separate. Your mind's not separate from your body and your mind's not your body. Your body's not separate from your mind and your body's not your mind. They are two entities designed, built to work together. And if we can get that clear and we realize your mind is not your brain. Even though your mind can work through your brain, your mind can work through your heart, your mind can work through your liver, your mind can work through your bladder, your mind can work through your feet. Because your mind encompasses everything that your body is affected with, to, or by. Period. Most of the things that will try to detour or distract me come from my own mind. Every demon, i.e. thoughts. A demon is not some critter that Satan, the devil, or Lucifer created to aid it in a rebellion against God and God's creation. That's exactly what you're taught. I mean, I taught that 40 years ago. Basic Christianity 101. All a lie. Every bit of it's a lie. Demons are thoughts. That's all in the world they are. Have you ever had demons harass you? Have you ever had thoughts that just constantly bombard you? And you know good and well that thought won't serve me?
Yes.
Thank you. I'm talking to myself. Remember, every demon, thoughts or vain imaginations and such that comes to me to insult, to intimidate, to harass, to accuse, or to blame. I know they don't you, but they do me. They harass me. They accuse me. They blame me. These are thoughts. They blame me to make judgments against such and such and such and such and such. Those are just thoughts. They do not come to me from outside sources or from something that someone said to me or something that they did or did not do or say to me. No. These demons are inside me. They are my own thoughts. Even though somebody did pull out in front of me, it was my choice to think they may need to be somewhere real quick and didn't see me. Or they may be, blah, 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 get mad and just release all kinds of stuff toward them. Get out of my way. All of that was my own thoughts. And I did. Didn't come from outside me, it's from within me. They are my own thoughts, my own vain imaginations, my own ideas, and so forth. They are in me, and only I, only you can deal with your thoughts. Nobody else can do that. Only you can do that. Only I can deal with my thoughts. Truth is, they only come to make me stronger. The only reason, have you ever had a thought and thought, why in the world does that come? It comes in many cases and many times just sort of like an exercise to strengthen me. And the stronger I get, then the less they will come. Truth is, they only come to make me stronger. I must face my negative thoughts Those are the demons. I must face my negative thoughts or demons and conquer them. Every thought that comes to me, good or bad, I must face alone. Those thoughts that come to me could be from negative thoughts or demons, or from God. Now, isn't that a dilemma? Have you ever said, well, which is it, God? Is it you or is it the devil? No, y'all never had to deal with that thing. I have to deal with it all the time. Like, God, is that you or the devil? Y'all sound alike. Both of you sound, that thought sounded just like you, God. No, that was the devil. I swear it was. Those thoughts come to you, and they come from negative thoughts or from God, from the source. Only you can discern if they are from demons or from God. Only you can. Those that come blaming, accusing, excusing, or judging, or comparing, or are not from God. So there's your real good starter to get you out of the starting gate to realize if they are coming blaming you, or they're accusing you, or they're excusing you, or they're judging, or they're comparing, those are some starters right there that you can work with and realize those thoughts didn't come to you from God, from the source. Those are your own negative thoughts and your own negative thinking. So, finish up right here, Romans chapter 8, verse 20, it says, for the Creator was made subject to vanity, not willing, but by reason of him who hath subjected in hope. In other words, God subjected himself to you and me knowing, I'm going to say knowing rather than hoping, knowing that one day you and me are going to wake up. And I'm saying and I'm thinking that right now all this crap that's going on with our government and with the coronavirus and all the lies that we're being sold, it's going to work for our greater good. It's going to work in contrary effect to them back in their face. Yes. So that we will come out greater and stronger than we were before we went into this mess.
Amen.
And that we're going to be more awake and in tune to our true source, which is our God source, which is our pattern and our plan that God built us on. God did not make a mistake. Amen. In building you and me. God did not make a mistake in anything that happened in Genesis. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. In any of those 12 chapters, there are no mistakes. Those are all building blocks to show you and me that we are the creation that God designed us to be. And that we haven't made a mistake. And our parents didn't make a mistake and fall from some place. But that we, as we awaken, we will be as God. And that's how God designed us to be. Psalms chapter 8 says that we were made. It says a little lower than the angels. Actually, the word angels is the same word in Genesis chapter word for the word God. We were made just under God. He is our Father. He's our source. He's our power. He's our energy. And so why not as children, as sons, we us, as the childs of God, whether they're male or female, why do we not act like God? We can. And that's where we're headed. So, I will just stop right there. The dance, or the game, is a dance and a game of the body-mind. The body-mind. The two. Not separate. The two. Dancing as one.